Awesome. Thank you so much for everyone attending. It is 10 o'clock. Welcome to our session on research, undergraduate research in the Fulton Schools of Engineering. Today we have our Grand Challenge Scholars program and our Fury program presenting on opportunities within the Fulton Schools. And with that, I will turn it over to Melissa.
Morning, everyone. My name is Melissa Stein, and I work in the Fulton Student Success and Engagement Office, and I work with a few different extracurricular involvement activities, but specifically I work with our research program, which is called Fury, and that's the one that I'm here to talk specifically about today. So I will go ahead and share my screen. I have a brief PowerPoint to go through. And I think as Kaylee mentioned, we'll be monitoring the Q&A and the chat and stuff. So feel free to, put any questions in there. So to get started, most of my slides are going to be kind of introductory, like how to get involved with research, different tips and tricks, and then specifically some information about the Fury program, which is the Fulton Schools signature research program. So to get started, the Fulton Undergraduate Research Initiative, or Fury that we call it, I don't think you can quite see my Zoom background, but I have the logo up there. It's our program that's designed to give technical and engineering hands-on lab experience, independent or thesis-based research, and the opportunity to present at conferences and work with a faculty mentor and other PhD students, graduate students directly to work on a research idea and see that project through for a semester or semesters. So within the Fury program, students develop an idea under the mentorship of a Fulton Schools faculty mentor, which is related to one of the 6 Fulton research themes, and then apply for funding in the Fury program. If accepted, you essentially, carry out your research, whatever your proposal was, and then there's a certain number of deliverables that you will complete for the Fury program, such as a research abstract, a research poster, and presenting at our Fury Symposium. So to kind of, take a step back a bit on why to get involved in research. So obviously, as a research institution, and research is one of the core values of Fulton, there's tons of different values and skills and benefits for getting involved in research. So Fury is just one way to do that. Another is the Grand Challenge Scholars Research Stipend that you'll hear from in a bit. But there's tons of different opportunities for research, and some of the benefits and takeaways are getting the chance to actually tackle a real world problem, getting that faculty mentorship, that one-on-one interaction with a Fulton Schools mentor, working as part of a team, potentially others in a lab that you could be working with, getting presentation experience, presenting your findings, maybe getting to actually share some of your findings or further research at a different conference, giving yourself a competitive advantage, and potentially helping to define your future plans. So getting started with research. So to start, you will need to kind of figure out what you're interested in researching. As I mentioned, Fulton has different types of research themes. And so for Fury, your project would need to tie to one of those themes. But really just kind of figuring out what it is that you're interested in. This is a project proposal that you're going to be pursuing for a certain amount of time. So definitely, we want it to be something that you personally are interested in, and likely it kind of aligns with what you're studying or what you hope to do. The best place to see what is potentially out there and what other students have done to help you fine tune your ideas is some of our research websites, particularly the Fury one. And I'll make sure that we pop that direct website in there. We keep all previous student projects and their research theme, project title, and abstract on our website. So you can kind of click through and just see like what students have done recently. And maybe that will help, kind of ping an idea for you as something that you could pursue. So, after you've kind of identified what it is you may want to pursue, you'll need to seek out the opportunities. And so again, theory is one. We do have other kind of standalone research opportunity websites. Some faculty within Fulton have their own lab website, and they'll post about opportunities there. So just kind of doing your research and what's out there, definitely starting with the faculty that you'll have classes with is a good place to start, and seeing if they have any opportunities, but just kind of seeing, what is out there. And then the next step is going to be connecting with them. So emailing faculty, maybe setting up time during their office hours, maybe you have them in class and you can kind of talk to them after. But you will need to connect with them to kind of discuss it and see if there is an opportunity for you. And then the last step will be to apply. And so again, Fury is application based, and some other programs, may not have a firm application. But if so, you'll need to kind of do the steps 1 through 3 before the deadline for step 4, if the research opportunity you're looking at has one. So finding a faculty mentor, again, I think, your professors you'll have for classes is a great place to start. Usually if they have research opportunities, they're promoting them in classes, or they will, direct you to their website or others they know of. Asking current students that that do Fury or other research, like how did they get involved? How did they find their mentor? Visiting faculty during office hours, and again, reviewing websites to see what they have there, and the Fury website, which has a lot of historical information. So in addition to seeing as I mentioned, the student topics and projects, you can also see the different faculty who have served as mentors, and see who has participated in the program. And so that may also to help you kind of connect with someone. So the next couple slides are just some tips as far as communication and kind of how to approach the initial conversation for doing a Fury project. So make sure, that whenever you're emailing someone, that you have a clear subject line, and if they have mentioned, putting this in the subject line to ask them about a research opportunity, making sure you're following directions and stuff. I think we're all probably in a few different messenger apps like Slack or Discord or Teams and things like that. But I would definitely stick to email as far as an initial communication about a research opportunity, just because it's a more formal communication tool. And so when you're getting ready to kind of hopefully chat with them about a potential opportunity, make sure that you illustrate in your email, your request, why you're reaching out. Maybe it's because you saw that they do a lot of research on robotics and you have an interest in that, and you've heard about Fury and you're looking to see what there could be an opportunity to work in their lab. Show them that you did your homework. So making sure you're reviewing if they have their own lab website. Every faculty and staff at ASU has a profile page and a staff directory, and usually that lists all of, for faculty, their research experience, different types of presentations and their background. So just making sure that you've done a bit to see about them, and that you know what they're interested in, and then that will help you kind of formulate your email to them. Make your request specific and express, gratitude. And then potentially, or most times, a next step would be getting ready to meet with them. And so making sure you have your resume ready for that. We have the Fulton Career Center, an ASU Writing Center that can help you prepare that. Potentially you'll want an unofficial transcript as part of that. And again, just kind of knowing about their research and having questions ready to ask them. So student research opportunities. So again, the Fury program is just one, and the More program you see there is very similar to Fury, but it's for graduate students. And I also manage that program. But again, Fury is just one way to do research. So besides Fury and GCSP, some other options are, even just volunteering to start an honors thesis, independent study, capstone project, NASA space grant. And so it's really just kind of finding what is best for you. I think a lot of students potentially, start out volunteering in a lab for a semester, and then they get to know the professor and the lab and the project, and then maybe apply for one of these further opportunities. A lot of students that do these programs also to potentially continue working with the mentor after their funded semester. So you never know what opportunities will come up from it, from just, working with someone for a semester. Let's see, and the Fury, this is just kind of a snapshot of the Fury program. And so it is, like I said, our signature research program, and you're able to apply for up to 2 semesters of funding. And Fury is a little unique in that we do give out a stipend to students. So it's $1,500 per semester. And then we also give a research supply budget of up to $400 per semester. So as an undergrad, you can apply for and potentially receive up to 2 semesters of funding to do Fury. And we offer it all throughout the year, so summer, fall, and spring. I would say the majority of students generally do it during the academic year. Summer tends to be a smaller cohort. And if they do 2 semesters, it's more likely a fall and then a spring, or usually a summer and a fall. And so that's kind of when the majority of students do it. But you obviously would, be working with your faculty to see what makes most sense for a timeline, and obviously you personally, what would be the best for your schedule. And then the application process for Fury, this is just a quick overview of what to expect for the next couple slides. And it's likely that a similar other research opportunities, have some similar application expectations and stuff. So it's probably a good just baseline of what to potentially expect for some research application-based programs at ASU, when you get ready to apply. But it's typically a research proposal that kind of goes over your project proposal, your research question, the proposed, methodology, bibliography, and obviously that would align with one of the Fulton research themes. A research timeline, so like mapping out what you're planning to work with, or kind of how you think it will go for the semester of semesters. A budget, that's that supply budget I mentioned, so up to $400 in supplies, and why they will help you carry out the project. A personal statement, and resume, unofficial transcript, and then a faculty support letter. And so again, for a lot of those, I always recommend to students to take advantage of some of the other resources we have here with writing and reviewing, such as, the career centers, writing centers, the ASU library, having another set of eyes on it too. Your faculty support letter is due when you submit your application. And so that's just something to keep in mind, that you do have to have a faculty mentor solidified before you apply. So you'll want to, start having some conversations with folks prior to the semester that you want to apply. And the application is open twice a year. It's open once in the fall and once in the spring. The fall application is due the 3rd Wednesday of October, and the spring is due the 3rd Wednesday of March. And then just a quick overview of what happens next after you submit a Fury application. So we do have faculty reviewers, a committee of them that are Fulton Schools faculty from all of our different schools, who volunteer their time to review the applications and provide feedback. And that's how funding decisions are determined. And so from the time you apply to when you actually hear back, it's likely, a month to a month and a half or so. It is, a timely process for reviews, but we like to make sure that every application is given, the full and thorough review. And then our reviewers provide different feedback for it. And then the next few bullets, I'm not going to go through these all, but it's just, again, some kind of best practices and tips as far as preparing your application. I think overall, just making sure all elements of your application for your Fury app or, any other research application is making sure everything is really well thought out and described, descriptive, that you don't have any formatting issues, and that everything is kind of clear as far as the instructions and stuff. I would definitely say when applying, review the application instructions initially and kind of review it again. You want to make sure that you're putting the best application together that you can. And then again, making sure that everything, is clear, you're using that consistent formatting. I always advise students to have their mentor check it over. But again, definitely just want to make sure that you're putting the best application together. And then for Fury, the acceptance, it really depends on the number of proposals versus the number of application and how much funding we have. Historically, we generally have around 100 up to 150 students that do it for a semester. And I will just say that if you do apply and if you are not initially accepted, we do try and provide feedback to help you further build up your ideas and to hopefully so that you can resubmit an application for a future cycle. So we do try and, like I said, provide some constructive feedback from our reviewers on how you can continue to build up your proposal. And then our symposium. So our symposium is one of the key elements that Fury students participate in. It's a research symposium where students will be presenting all of their research findings, and it's kind of the bookends last event for Fury. And it's actually happening next Friday on April 16th from 1 to 3 p.m. And more information about how to join can be found on the website. And I put a screenshot up here, but also too on our homepage, we have kind of some questions and tips about what to ask student researchers if you'd like to join it, but you've never been to like a research symposium. So if you're able to, I definitely recommend tuning in if you can. It will be virtual. This symposium will consist of Fury students, more students, and Grand Scholars stipend students. And so you'll have a chance to kind of hear from students on their projects, again, see what was funded, and it's a great chance to kind of hear from students what they're working on and maybe help you develop your idea for when you get ready to apply. And then any questions, this is my contact information, and I'll make sure too that it's shared in chat. And with that, that is the end of my slide. So I will stop sharing. Oh, sorry. I am just looking at the chat right now. And I think for most of them, we'll answer the question live. So let's see. For which semester can one apply for Fury? So you can apply, you just have to have been at ASU for one semester, and then you can apply. And so you can do it any other time that up until even your last semester. I think a lot of students tend to do it their junior year, but it would be just kind of whatever worked best for you for your schedule. For Fury, you can, the position's posted at 5 hours per week. And I think it varies the time of the project in the semester. It could be a few more hours, a few less hours. So you'll just want to make sure when you're kind of looking at your schedule that your course load and any other commitments and activities that you are invested in or have on your plate for that semester, that you think it'll work to have that kind of additional research commitment on top of that. Let's see, what are sources of the projects, faculty, government, corporate? That's a great question. So for Fury, projects can either be your own idea or a faculty idea. With that, I think the majority of students, it's generally a faculty idea. So something that they have going on in their lab or has been kind of a project that they have advertised, somewhere. Although some students, again, it could be completely their own idea and they just approach a faculty that they have class and that person agrees to kind of mentor them on that idea. But I would say the majority, it's faculty mentors. It's their kind of majority, their idea and project. Let's see, to get help with resume and applications and writing, is there a place to go at ASU? Absolutely. I think the Fulton Schools Career Center is the best place to start for that. I know they have a resume, I believe prep and different virtual career coaches. And so they'll definitely be able to help you with that. And, we have ASU writing centers if you're looking for, help with that. And again, I think just reviewing and double reviewing and having other eyes on everything after you've gone to those resources is your best bet. Because we all know once we are staring at, our proposal, we tend to miss something when we've been looking at it for so long. And would you need to schedule an appointment? That I am not entirely sure, but our Fulton Schools Career Center website will have that on there. A lot of our resources and offices, we are still kind of in a hybrid remote capacity. And so some appointments could be on Zoom, but the information on how to make one should be on the website. And are there remote Fury opportunities during the summer? So Fury is available. You can apply as an online student for Fury. We do have some guidance on if a student is going to be working potentially outside the country, but you can apply for Fury as an online student. It would just, obviously your proposal, your project would reflect that, but there are, opportunities to apply for that. I think I got all the questions.
There's the Fury and GCSP.
I can address that one though.
Oh, okay,
I think,
perfect.
as I go, unless you want to, Melissa.
Oh, no,
but I
no,
think
yeah.
you can.
Okay.
That'll be my starting point. So it'll
Perfect.
work out. Awesome. So the short answer, which you'll learn a lot more about in just a minute, short answer to the question of are Fury and GCSP mutually exclusive? The answer is no. But the Fury and GCSP research stipend are two separate funding opportunities that you cannot do at the same time. This will make more sense as I start talking about GCSP, and pardon my voice, it's horrible today. I apologize for that, but hopefully you all can still understand me. And in the future, hopefully I'll get the chance to meet you and you'll get to hear what I actually sound like most of the time. Anyway, I'm Amy Trowbridge. I'm the faculty director for the Grand Challenges Scholars Program. And you'll see that, the GCSP research stipend is a funding opportunity that is very similar to Fury. It's modeled after Fury. But there's a couple, minor differences. One of them being that it's only available to students that are in the Grand Challenges Scholars Program. So what I'm gonna do today is I actually have myself and I have two students here to share their perspectives as well, which will probably be more useful than some of my information to you all in the audience. Basically, I'm going to give a brief overview, and I'll try to keep it as brief as I can about what Grand Challenge Scholars Program actually is, because it does include research. That is a big part of it, but it's not all of it. And so I'll talk about that. And then I will ask, Naya has actually done both GCSP research stipend, so participated in our research funding, as well as Fury. So she'll be able to talk about some of her experiences there. And then Emily is one of our GCSP student leaders currently, and she actually is just about to start a couple different research opportunities. And so both of them will be able to talk about research in the context of GCSP. So I'll go ahead and share my screen to give kind of my overview presentation of GCSP, and then I'll pass it off to them to share their perspectives and experiences. All right. I gotta move some windows around just a second. Sorry, guys. Always have to, Zoom always decides how it wants to put things. Okay. All right. Cool. So this is the Grand Challenges Scholars Program. It is a program that is not just at ASU. It's actually an international program. It was founded in 2009 by 3 engineering deans, not from ASU, but that's okay. But we were like the 5th school to join the following year in 2010. And this program is endorsed by the National Academy of Engineering. So that is something important to mention about the program, is students that complete the program and graduate from the program actually get national recognition. And as importantly, and possibly more importantly, you also join an international community of motivated students and alumni that are all trying to work to solve global challenges. So that's a piece that I want to make sure to mention is, yes, we have a great, vibrant community of GCSP at ASU, but we are just part of a larger international community of the GCSP network. The program itself, you'll see a phrase I have on here, and that's really, it really is a good description of what the program is, which is curricular and co-curricular experiences focused on a Grand Challenges theme. So you'll see in a couple minutes that there are 5 outcomes or competencies that your students are trying to achieve or will achieve through the program, but each student gets to choose how they achieve them. So you get to choose how many you achieve through courses, whether it's general education courses or courses in your major map or others, and how many experiences that are extracurricular, such as Fury or other programs that we have to fulfill the competency. So you're going to choose your collection of courses and experiences, and you're going to focus your work on a Grand Challenges theme. So an area that you're passionate about, either health, security, sustainability, or joy of living typically, although there are some other specific challenges you can focus on as well. So again, as I just mentioned, just to kind of restate this in words, for those of you that are more visual, it is a co-curricular program that spans your entire collegiate career. So when I'm talking today, don't think, oh my gosh, I'm signing up to do that all in 1 year or in 1 semester. No, that's totally not correct. You actually will have your entire academic career to do it at your own pace, depending on when you want to get involved in different activities that will contribute to GCSP. It is a community of scholars. We emphasize that a lot. Joining the program, you join a group of other people like you that want to go out and solve the world's problems. And you're supported, this community is supported by faculty and staff, including myself and Bruce Kamira, who's on this call today as well as our other staff and assistant faculty director, or other staff, Lindsay Dickerson, and our other assistant faculty director, Helen Zhu. It's also an opportunity to connect your experiences that you might be interested in doing anyway into a more cohesive portfolio focused again on those global challenges you're interested in. So this slide will show you kind of the 5 competencies. So this is the outcomes. So students in the program will start in the program, and I'll talk about that in a minute about like how you get started. But at the end, basically students are going to have their own journey through this program throughout your ASU career over 4 years or more, or whatever it takes you, right? Or possibly less. And you're going to, during that time, choose courses and experiences that you want to pursue that will help you to achieve these outcomes. So these are the 5 kind of outcomes or competencies that Grand Challenge Scholars program students will achieve before they graduate in order to graduate as Grand Challenges Scholars. So they'll have research or creative project experience. So that's the obviously where Fury and GCSP research stipend supported work fits directly in, but it's not the only place that it could fit. They also develop an interdisciplinary perspective. What that's about is recognizing that you need more than just engineering and technical skills to solve a problem. You need to work with policy. You need to work with economics. You need to think about culture. You need to think about other sociocultural factors. There's lots of things that you need to consider. And so that competency is all about developing that perspective. And honestly, some of our students actually do end up doing research supported by our GCSP research stipend that is interdisciplinary in nature. We've had people who have worked on like, actually we just approved one, I think recently, an experience that was research on climate policy? I think it was climate policy. With another center on campus at ASU, which is obviously not engineering related, but gives that multidisciplinary perspective of sustainability. Developing an entrepreneurial mindset, which you'll hear a lot about if you haven't already through the Fulton Schools, but we enhance that a little bit more. We want you to make sure that you actually could develop a business plan if you wanted to. Multicultural is really multicultural awareness. So being aware that in order to develop an engineering solution, you need to pay attention to other cultures and in order to make sure that you're creating culturally acceptable solutions that actually will be utilized and effective. And then social consciousness is really developing that motivation to use your engineering skills to do good for society and actually having the opportunity to do that while you're a student through service learning opportunities. So again, every student in GCSP will work towards achieving these 5 competencies through their own collection of courses and experiences. And we, of course, will help guide you. You'll have progress checks along the way, et cetera, to help you in mentoring you along that process. And all of those experiences you will do will all relate to a theme area, a problem area you're passionate about. And you don't have to know that right at the start either. You'll figure that out through some of our introductory experiences. And so again, most students will choose something like health, security, sustainability, joy of living, which are relatively broad areas. But those actually were inspired by the vision of the NAE that represents actually the 14 grand challenges that were identified in 2008 by experts. And those grand challenges is kind of what inspired this GCSP program. But so some students do focus on those challenges, but most often we recognize that there's a lot of global challenges not on that list that still contribute to these areas. And so students will choose one of these areas to focus on. In terms of first steps for GCSP, first step is to apply. So if any of this sounds interesting to you, check out our website. I'm sure Bruce will share that link in the chat at some point, but you can go and apply there anytime. Applications are accepted on a rolling basis. So if you're interested, we encourage you to apply sooner rather than later so that you can take advantage of these opportunities. So the first opportunity that's optional is our GCSP Summer Institute. This picture is from a few years ago when it was in person. Obviously, due to pandemic, we have been virtual last year, and we're actually going to be offering it virtually this year. So this is the first opportunity you'd be invited to meet others in the program once you're accepted into the program, and to start diving in, learning about what you can do at ASU through GCSP. Then your next first step, which is required, is our FSE 150 class, Perspectives on Grand Challenges for Engineering. And that course is really designed to help you find your challenge and find your path. And so Melissa today mentioned for Fury, some of the first steps for Fury is to, find faculty and talk to faculty, which can be daunting and can be kind of intimidating. And so as part of this class, to help you to continue, start your path in GCSP, we actually have an assignment that requires you to go and find research you're interested in and meet with a faculty member. So it gives you that little nudge just so that you can get started and figure out how to start networking. There's other things in this class as well. We explore each of the theme areas so that you can really identify what challenge area you're most interested in. And we explore everything from an interdisciplinary perspective. So this actually counts towards that multidisciplinary competency of GCSP, helping you to see the broader picture of engineering challenges, considering ethics of health solutions and economic factors of energy and other things. Cool. And there's also a team project, and Emily, of course, is here on the slide presenting her poster, again, pre-pandemic at the end of a poster session. So there is a team project there as well, where you get to kind of imagine the future of solving a problem. After that class, I should mention, you also develop a plan of study of how you'll actually, how you'll complete the competencies of GCSP, what courses and experiences you want to do. And so this slide just shows examples of some of the different activities that you might have already heard about or you will hear about in the Fulton Schools or at ASU that connect to this program. And when I say connect to this program, that means they count towards requirements. They fulfill parts of this program because, again, you're designing your own path and picking which things to fit in those 5 buckets. And so you'll see things on here. One that's boring and doesn't have a logo, but is important to mention, is your general education courses. SBs, HUs, Gs, Cs, all those letters that you'll hear about a lot from your advisors. we have those, a lot of times those courses, you can choose things that also are of interest to you and fulfill GCSP competencies at the same time. The other one that should be on here, yep, Barrett. If you're a Barrett honors student, there's a lot of overlap with that as well. Your honors thesis, for example, can count in different ways, as well as other, and there's sometimes courses and things like that as well. I have a couple, I think I'm mostly going to look at maybe one of these, but I'll show both of them maybe quickly, and then we'll move on to the actual live students we have. But recently we held our first annual GCSP graduate showcase, where we asked our spring graduates to each give a brief talk about, and a slide about their experience in GCSP. And so this is a better way than me talking to show kind of what a journey looks like. So this is a completed GCSP journey. I do have to mention though that these students actually have other things that they probably didn't put on here too. And some of them put things on here that don't directly, like they didn't have to do for GCSP. They're like additional parts of their ASU experience that they felt were relevant. So these really represent these students' ASU experience. So this one, for example, has, did an honors thesis to count towards interdisciplinary, as an interdisciplinary experience. Participated in a summer program that was a GCSP network program that had students from across the nation. And actually Naya was part of this program as well. She's in that picture. Anyway, it was an entrepreneurial experience program, project-based in the summer. Engineering projects and community service, EPICS. I meant to mention that earlier. That one has a very direct link to GCSP. There's a lot of overlap there for service learning in other areas. If you're interested in that project, definitely check it out. And then E2, most of you, all of you hopefully will be attending E2. There are older peers that will be counselors and helpers in that event. And that's another way that connects to this. And then this particular student had some courses you can see that also fulfilled general education requirements. She did research through Fury. Also mentioned some things about, organizations she was involved in, like the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. And she was able to do some outreach that connected back to GCSP. So again, kind of shows just how it all connects together and how GCSP can be the framework to connect your experiences together. And this is another example. I won't spend too much time on here, but again, point out some differences. We got Fury. This one actually had an experience, an internship outside of ASU that they were able to submit for approval, the Kidney Disease and Hypertension Center internship. And then also was part of the service learning show. That is actually an organization, an ASU organization, not engineering specific, that particular student was involved in. So a lot of things. And then Engineering World Health, I should mention as well. That's a student organization within the Fulton Schools. And so different things that can connect here to a GCSP. And in GCSP, as we mentioned, there are a couple perks at ASU, for example, the GCSP research stipend that you're eligible for on top of Fury. So you can actually do Fury for 2 semesters and GCSP research stipend for an additional semester if you choose to. And then we also have an experiential learning grant that provides travel funding. And also we've had students who have attended like gone to the National Academy of Engineering in Washington, DC for the GCSP network annual meeting. And also we had students who have gone to other countries, China and London for Global Grand Challenges Summits related to their experiences in this program. So to summarize, value of GCSP, and again, you'll get to hear this from the students so you can believe them in a minute about the value, but this is what I've heard from students as well. It gives you diverse experiences and skill set. As you can see, research is great. And that's what this session is really about, is it's a chance to apply your technical skills to solve real world problems. And that really is a big part and probably one of the most impactful experiences for a lot of our GCSP students. However, GCSP looks to kind of broaden your skill set beyond the technical and have an interdisciplinary perspective, multicultural awareness, et cetera. And so it really helps with that. And it helps provide you that cohesive experience, way to connect your experiences together that you might be interested in anyway. You do get recognition from the National Academy of Engineering and become part of that international network community. You have access, I already mentioned special opportunities. Obviously, doing all these things gives you increased competitive advantage, and industry recognizes GCSP as well. And then you're joining a community of like-minded scholars supported by faculty and staff. All right, I'm going to stop talking. We'll share some links in the chat for that information, but I don't want to take any more time. So feel free to keep asking questions. I think what we'll do is have our students share a little bit, and then we'll address any questions that came up. So we'll go ahead and Naya, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and talk for a few minutes about your experiences.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. I'm Naya. I am a junior and I'm majoring in biomedical engineering. I've been involved with GCSP since my freshman year, so I've had a lot of different amazing experiences through that program. Most recently, I did participate in the GCSP research stipend, which was really cool. So I basically submitted a project proposal and then got selected for funding, and I got to actually carry out my project. My project specifically was, it was about trying to find a connection between the lip and hand motor cortices in the brain. And so we got to stimulate people's brains and then measure muscle activation and kind of see if there was a comparison between the lip and the hand. And so it was just really cool. It was a great opportunity to take what I learned in classes and then apply it in an actual research setting with actual subjects. And then since it was my proposal and my project, I kind of felt a sense of ownership too. I got to do this actual project kind of from start to finish. And then obviously at the end of the semester, I presented at the Fury and GCSP Symposium. So then I got to share my research with everyone, which was a great opportunity. And then I actually loved working on the project so much that I'm going to continue it now for my Bear honors thesis. So there's kind of a sense of everything you do kind of ties into each other. And now I know my Bear honors thesis will apply to GCSP too. So everything is kind of connected and just continuous now. I just want to say that you can get involved in research basically whenever you want, no matter how much experience you have. I didn't know anything about brain stimulation, and then I met my professor that I was working with, and he kind of taught me, and then I decided that I was ready to apply for the GCSP program or the research stipend. So it's not you have to be an expert in whatever your research topic is. You can start kind of whenever, and then you'll gain the experience as you go. I did participate in Fury as well, and that was just as great of an opportunity. They're pretty much comparable throughout. You have to do your proposal and then a series of deliverables and then present. So both of them are really great opportunities. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have. So Emily,
awesome.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Naya. All right, Emily, go ahead.
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Emily Haygood. I'm a sophomore studying material science and engineering. So I'd actually like to start by saying I came into ASU freshman year not wanting to do research. I was definitely more on the industry track, and that perspective has really changed over the 4 semesters that I've been at ASU. And so now I'm really excited to share all these exciting research opportunities that I'm just now getting into. So this summer, I've been accepted to a research experience for undergraduates. It's called an RAU program. It's based at Penn State, and it's actually a collaboration between Penn State and a nonprofit organization. So this summer, I have a paid research position that's working on climate solutions research and working specifically looking at carbon emissions along value chains. So I know that's kind of complicated to explain, but it's kind of like looking at carbon sequestration, so taking carbon out of the atmosphere, and also looking at supply chain management. So it's a really interesting interdisciplinary and sustainability focused program. So it ties right into the sustainability theme area of GCSP. Another experience that I've recently applied for, and I'm still fingers crossed hoping to get into, is Fury. And so I just submitted a research proposal that ties specifically to the grand challenge that's presented by the NAE to develop carbon sequestration methods. And so that actually is looking at taking carbon dioxide out of the air. There's a center at ASU called the Center for Negative Carbon Emissions, and I've taken a couple classes with their head professor, and I'm really interested in the topic. So I submitted a proposal to Fury to work on a system dynamics model, so looking more at a systems thinking kind of approach and systems engineering, looking at scaling these specific technologies. So again, that ties in with a specific grand challenge in addition to the theme area of sustainability. And then last, I'd like to mention that I also am a Barrett Honors student. And so next semester, not in the fall, but in the spring, I'm going to be starting my Barrett Honors thesis. And I'm hoping to do that in something that's at the intersection of engineering and sustainability, since that's the career I want to pursue. And so all three of these experiences are great examples of how research and GCSP work together really closely. What questions do you all have?
Awesome. Thank you, Emily. Feel free to submit questions. Continue to submit questions. It looks like we have a few. And when appropriate, if there's questions that you want to ask of the students, we'll even choose to have the students answer some of them. It seems to make sense to share their perspectives and their experience. One comment I want to make is Naya and Emily both mentioned Barrett. I do want to make it clear that you do not have to be a Barrett Honor student to do Fury or GCSP. And so it is open to everyone. And actually within GCSP specifically, about 40% of our students in GCSP are Barrett Honors, but that means the majority are not. And so there is significant overlap. There are opportunities for overlap if you are looking at doing Barrett, but if you're not, that's totally fine too. There's a lot of students who choose to do this and do not participate in Barrett. I'm going to answer a couple of the questions that it looks like I see here have been marked to answer live. First one was about research. And since they were just talking about research and that's what the focus of the session is, I'll go ahead and answer that one. So is the research conducted as part of GCSP an idea formulated by the student, or like Fury, can it be an existing research project? And I'm going to answer this actually, I think basically I'll start by saying research for a GCSP research stipend and research for Fury are very similar. And so they can be student initiated if you go find a mentor that has relevant expertise and is willing to mentor you. But more often, it will be an existing research project. So you'll go, same process as Melissa described, you'll go find a faculty member, you'll start talking to them. And then as you get involved in that research, you might identify a specific project for you to work on within that area. So that hopefully answers that question. How much is the GCSP research stipend? Ours is also comparable to Fury. I believe it's $1,600 for a semester. We do not currently offer a materials budget though. So that is one difference between us and Fury. And then the other difference, which I should mention, is for GCSP research stipend, you can work with any mentor. They don't have to be within the Fulton schools. They can actually be in any other discipline. So we've had students work with faculty in School of Sustainability, School of Life Sciences, School of Earth and Space Exploration, all over the board for that opportunity. Let's see, what else we got here? Venture Devils. I will briefly mention Venture Devils. I believe there's probably E&I focus, entrepreneurship and innovation focus sessions where you can learn more. So I would check that out and check out their website. But Venture Devils is something that you probably saw on one of the students' journeys in GCSP because it does count towards our entrepreneurial competency. Venture Devils is basically provides students an opportunity to work with mentors to start a business idea or to kind of further your business idea. So student teams most often, but it can be individual students, I believe as well. If you have an idea for a business, but you need some help, you need to figure out what to do next. If you have like a pitch deck, so you have, pretty good idea formulated, you can actually apply to be part of Venture Devils for a semester, and you'll actually, or it might be, you may be able to apply for longer as well, and you'll actually get paired with get mentorship and things like that to help you to further refine your ideas for your business and prepare you for funding competitions and things like that. Let's see. All right, I'm going to ask this one of Naya and Emily. Good student questions here. I like this. Should I apply for Barrett Honors? Why? So whoever wants to take that.
I can jump in first. I would say that Barrett Honors is a really great program, especially for freshmen, because it gives you a taste of a lot of different opportunities. At ASU, like both GCSP and Fury, it gives you access to additional opportunities, and it gives you a strong social network because the Fulton Schools of Engineering and ASU as a whole they're really big schools. And so GCSP brings it down to a smaller community. Fury brings it down to a smaller community. And Barrett is one other example where it brings it down to a smaller community. So those are my two things. I think it's great for freshman year. And then I've actually already completed all my honors credits. So now the only thing I have left is my honors thesis. And I'm really excited about that. But I am a huge proponent of project-based learning and looking at applying all of those solutions-oriented thinking and service-based learning that I've applied or learned in my engineering classes onto a project that I get to design. So I'm really excited about it. Big fan of the program.
Naya, did you have anything you want to add? Go ahead.
Also, in addition to that, it's also like a really great way to connect with your professors a little bit more, especially fulfilling those honors credits. Like if you can do them either by doing honors contracts with your professor, which gives you a chance to really like connect with them, or you can take honors specific classes, which are normally smaller classes around like the 20 to 30 people class size. So it's really a great way to like get that additional connection with your professors.
Great. So there's one follow-on question about opportunities you'll get access to through honors, and I can give a brief comment to that, but if there's other things I don't know about, please feel free to add, Emily or Naya. And then I'm going to jump to a question about non-honor students to balance it out. But anyway, in terms of honors opportunities, I know there are some, Barrett has some study abroad programs when those start to come back. We haven't had very many over these last couple of years for obvious reasons with the pandemic. But before that, and I'm sure in the future, there are some special opportunities there. And then as they mentioned, there are, opportunities to connect with faculty. There are some small classes that are required that are honor specific classes that are required from the beginning. Is there anything else I'm missing in terms of opportunities?
Well, I'd just like to follow up with both what you and Naya said with those smaller honor specific classes. I took a supply chain class last semester, and it was just a really exciting opportunity to take a more interdisciplinary approach and do a little bit of research in a field that I'm not as familiar with. And so I was in a class with 6 students, which is really unusual. And I got to work with the professor really closely and develop a strong relationship. And then also the honors projects or the honors contracts that Naya mentioned, those are a great way to start getting to know the professor, but also a segue into research. So talking about what you're passionate about, talking about what you're interested in, and learning how well you work with the professor, it's a great toehold. So I would say that that's one of the opportunities as well.
All right. Awesome. So I'm going to jump to, there was a question about in what ways do non-honors freshman students, are they encouraged to participate in Fury and GCSP? And honestly, again, it just happened to be that these 2 students are in Barrett. There are tons of students that participate in Fury and GCSP that are not Barrett students. It definitely, you don't have to be that at all. And so I would say, the way that we encourage that is having that open access. So any Fulton Schools student is eligible to meet faculty and apply for Fury. Any Fulton Schools student is eligible right now to apply for GCSP and get accepted, and then you'll be able to attend Summer Institute, FSC 150, and join these other community events that we host throughout the year in GCSP to help you connect to faculty and other opportunities. So it's definitely not exclusive at all. And I think that there are big benefits in terms of the skills and experiences you'll gain that will help you get jobs later and just help further your development as an engineer that you can access as any student in the Fulton Schools through Fury and GCSP. I want to jump, I know we're running a little bit low on time, so there's 2 questions that overlap completely and they're for Emily and Naya. So I'm going to kind of read them both just to make sure I get the points of them. But basically the essence is, how do you manage schoolwork and research? And what is the time commitment for participating in research and or GCSP throughout the year?
So I know that the time commitments for Fury, I think is 5 hours a week on average. And then I think it's the same for GCSP as well. But I know so you can do 5 hours a week. I know for my own research, it tends to be a little more than that. So the research that I'm doing now is I think 8 hours a week, but you kind of can talk to your research mentor and balance it out. So there's no minimum requirement other than the 5 hours that you have to put in, but you kind of manage by talking to your research mentor and figuring out what you can do, and then they'll give you a project that kind of matches those requirements.
So I have not formally participated in research during a semester, but yes, it is, like Naya said, Fury will be 5 hours per week if I'm accepted into that program. And so for GCSP, if you're looking at the research stipend, Naya explained that really well. If you're looking more at the holistic program, it really varies based on what experiences and what research and what projects and what classes you're taking in a given semester. And so there's not really a great way to answer that, but one of the things that's wonderful about the Summer Institute and about the FSC 150 class is that the time, or you get to really plan your experience over the whole 4 years and create a, not exactly a template, but a plan for looking forward and a timeline for yourself. And so you have that opportunity to figure out how to manage your time so you're not doing 5 competencies your second semester junior year when you have the toughest course load, if that's true for your major. And so you really get to spread it out based on what works for you.
So I want to get back to one part of that question though, just to get your perspective. So one of the questions started with, how do you manage your time? And I mean, and that can just be, you don't have to give a list of tips, obviously, but if there's something brief that either of you want to kind of say about that, because you're both obviously involved in a lot of things, that would be, I think, great for the audience.
Sure. I mean, I can jump in first there. I really have 2 that I focus on. One is my Google Calendar is a godsend, and I have everything color coded and everything down to the hour, and it is just magical, and it goes between my phone and computer. I love it. The other part of my organization is a 1-3-5 system where I look at my top priority for the day, 3 medium priorities for the day, and 5 lower priorities, but things that still need to get done. And so organizing my to-do list in that way is really helpful for me just to think through what I need to do every day and manage my time.
And I think adding on to that, you also know like your own self. So I kind of realized throughout my college career that I am more of a morning person apparently, which I never knew. And so I get all of my research stuff done in the morning because that takes a lot of effort and like mental thinking. And then I try to schedule my classes for a little later in the day where I just have to kind of listen to the professor and not do as much work. So know yourself and know like where you think you can get the most done.
Awesome. Thank you guys for your perspectives. Those are very valuable. Looks like there's one other question, which is a pretty quick one to answer. Can a sophomore start GCSP or is that too late to start? Yes, you can. So current students can also apply to GCSP. However, we highly encourage you to apply now if you're interested at all, because then it gives you more time. And you also get to join the community right away so that you get access to the resources, you get to know about the program and things like that from the start. There's no penalty, associated with starting early, and maybe, you don't have to make a ton of progress right away. You still do have all of your time, but we do encourage you to apply sooner rather than later, just so you can take advantage of that and take advantage of the community that we have and the events that we provide to help you make connections and be successful. I think we answered them all.
You guys did. Thank you so much. We did drop some answers in the chat. There was a question about the summer program for incoming students, which is E2. Bruce dropped that information into the chat. It is going to be a virtual program. GCSP also has Summer Institute SI in the summer. So that information you can get through the GCSP website. And then there was a question about Fury and if it's recorded. And the way that the format of Fury Virtual is structured, it is not recorded, but you can see the student bios and things on the website the entire time. And with that, if you have any other questions, you can always reach us at fultonschools@asu.edu and we can route your request to the specific staff. We hope that this was helpful for you. Again, this is recorded. It will be posted on our webinar page in a couple weeks. And we hope to see all of you at ASU this fall because we are coming back. So again, please reach out if you have any questions. Have a great day and go Devils.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.